Hi guys, I'm Zach from Nerdworks Media, and in today's video we are going to be cleaning the engine bay of my Miata. Now, I'm going to be honest, I already jumped in there and it was terrifying, but I'm going to do it again for you on camera because I forgot my camera. So I'm actually going to try to record it this time because basically I wiped that little wall there a tiny little bit, and then I was like, oh wait, my camera. Anyway, I've also forgotten my hair tie at home today, so my hair's going to be in my face and probably going to really irritate me. But moving on, I don't really know what else to say, to be honest with you guys. Let's jump into today's video. Okay, and as you can see now behind me, I don't know if I'm in the way or not, the engine bay is a hell of a lot cleaner. You can actually see the inside of my gearbox now, which is nice, and then my subframe is all nice and shiny. I've tried my best to clean it. I'm going to be honest, it wasn't a high priority to make it super duper clean, so I didn't go overboard, but we needed it clean enough that we could see what we were doing when putting the engine back in. So I have done exactly that. We also took the, what's it called there? Clutch bearing.
Yeah, the clutch release bearing.
That boy. The clutch release bearing out so that we could check the condition of that. It was in perfect condition, as everything on my car was. However, this video would be rather short if I just had that. What we can do instead is make the rest of my engine bay really pretty. So as we can see here, I bought some spray paint, and I'm going to be painting some of the parts. And hopefully they'll look all pretty and cool, and then they'll give me extra go faster points when they're in my car. So yeah, that's the plan. Anyway, so I suppose time-lapse time of me disassembling the throttle, the intake manifold, and wiping that down with thinners, and maybe spraying one or two other pieces, I don't know. Anyway, time-lapse time of that. Okay guys, so a quick little intermission. it is recording, good. A quick little intermission. So I was busy setting everything up so I can spray it, and we were busy disassembling some of the pipes from the intake manifold. Now I didn't know this, but there's actually some water lines on the intake manifold, and as you can see, some of them are completely. So basically I was talking to my dad about it, and he was saying those water lines are there so that if your intake is cold, the hot water flowing from your engine can actually go through there, and it will warm up your idle. Essentially is what it does. It warms up the intake manifold so your idle sits nicely when the engine is cold. Ideally you still want to keep those kind of features, however you don't necessarily need them. So what we might end up doing is actually just blocking those, of which before people say, oh, you can't do that, don't do that, rather repair it, blah 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 blah, those were so full of mud that they weren't working anyway. My dad was saying they were so solid full of mud that irrelevant, they weren't actually working anyway. So I've been driving like that for the past, probably since I've owned the car, and the car's been with all this rust in the system anyway. So I did refocus this, did I? I think I did. So that means, in short, so they don't actually have to be there, so I don't think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to end up blocking them, and then I don't have to have them at all. It means I might have a little bit of a rough idle at startup on like a cold start, but better than having rusty lines that are going to cause more problems on the way. Anyway, back to taping everything up to spray. Alright guys, so it's the next morning and I've done just another little quick coat. The intake manifold looks absolutely gorgeous, that looks gorgeous, the turbo looks amazing, the fuel rail looks pretty damn good, but unfortunately the valve cover didn't land up working all too well. The valve cover was actually fine, but the lettering inside the valve cover ended up not going so well. Because if you remember back when I redid my brake calipers, I decided with my spare time I was going to try like dip and inject some white paint in there, and I know on camera it actually looked pretty good, but in person it looked terrible. It looked absolutely awful. And I have paint to my eye. It looked terrible and didn't look good at all. So I wanted to, when I resprayed this, try cover that up. So I was hoping that when I just sprayed, well, last night when I was spraying, if I just sprayed red over the white, it would look good. Which, it looked a lot better, but it didn't look perfect. Unfortunately, there were so many bubbles and imperfections in the white within the lettering, it just didn't come out well at all. So that's why you saw me sitting with a screwdriver, and I was just knocking away at it so I could get some of the white bubbled thick layer of paint out. And it's worked a little bit better. I think it looks a lot better now. Unfortunately, I don't know if you'll be able to see, I've got some scar marks Yeah, there we go. I have some scarring marks, and then obviously where the paint is lifted up from spraying it with the air and hitting it, because then obviously, you know, it flakes and it chips off. It's now left chips and stuff. I'm going to be honest, I actually prefer the chips and it looking like this than it did with the white paint, because at least this, it's all the same color and it actually blends pretty well as well. So unless you are staring dead at it and you've taken a really good look into my engine bay, then you'll see it, but otherwise you won't actually see it. Whilst the white, as soon as I opened my engine bay, that white was really eye-catching, so you'd end up looking at that white and that white would be off. Like you could tell that it had dirt in it and blah 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 blah. Just, it didn't look good. So I'm probably going to try give that a few more coats, see if I can help the lifting off a little bit better. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm not too stressed about it, because end goal for my car, I plan on changing the color scheme anyway. Yes, the red will be going, and when that happens, I'm going to end up taking these and like properly like acid dipping them or some shit, I don't know, to get all of the paint off and to get it back down to bare metal. And then when it's down to bare metal, then I'm gonna spray it like properly professionally with high temperature paints and stuff, because right now I'm using Rattle Can and just hoping it'll be okay. For the people who are shouting me about my exhaust, my turbo, and saying that that's not going to last, I don't expect it to last, to be honest with you. I don't really care if it does or not. It must just look pretty for the first while, and if it ends up cooking and peeling and coming off, oh well. I'm not actually all too stressed about it. Like I said, later down the line when I have the money, I want to get these professionally painted and like properly with the right shit and stuff, and then the color scheme of my car entirely will be changing as well. So I'm not all too worried about it. It's just for now to look pretty. Anyway, so long explanation short, it's all good, fam. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say. All these bits are kind of going to just sit as they are until I get my engine back, which should actually be soon. I'm going to go check on my clutch today, because I'm going to get a custom clutch made for my car, so that I have lots of play in the clutch pedal, but it can still hold the amount of horsepower that I'm shooting for. So yeah. Anyway, I suppose that's it actually for this episode until we get the engine back. So until then, guys, cheers. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment and such. And again, a huge thank you to my aunt for helping me afford being able to do all of this. Now I can say my cheers bit. Thanks, guys. Cheers.